Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and I don't know what's going on with that. Whoopsie. Oh, God.
Somebody extra. Okay.
Yeah, we need an extra person. I don't know. It's never done this before. So this is so funny. Okay, guys, good evening, good afternoon. We're back to front. Oh, God. Okay, I wonder why this is doing this. It feels like it wants to have a third person.
Have you invited somebody?
No.
Ghost in the Machine on Fridays.
There we go. Look at me.
Yeah,
Hello. We are live coming to you from Cape Town, South Africa and Austria. I'm Melanie Carstens and this is Stacks Pulse. Today we are joined by my friend Brendyn Hadfield, better known as Hattie in the Stacks ecosystem. Hattie is deeply involved in governance, funding, reputation. He is a big voice in the Stacks ecosystem. He's been a D-Grants steward. He is involved with Zero Authority. We're going to get into that shortly with the Stacks improvement proposals. And he also is the host of his own podcast called Blank Page. Hattie, welcome to Stacks Pulse and that very, very rocky start.
Well, we need a bit of entertainment start. So thank you very much for having me today. Thank you for the intro. I have my fingers in a lot of pies. I try to help and be of value wherever I can. So, and we can touch on all of those today. So I'm super excited to be here today. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time. So finally got around to getting you on the show. So
you are a very busy lady.
Yeah, well, I took a couple of weeks off over December. Let me tell you, I was struggling to get back into it. But someone said to me yesterday, when do we stop saying Happy New Year? It really just feels like we're in again. So,
well, if you think we're already halfway through this month, it's crazy.
I'm going to start saying Happy Valentine's Day. We're leading up to that.
Well, yes, this is true. That is true. Yeah.
All right, so let's dive right in. Hattie, do you want to tell us how you got involved with Stacks? What's your sort of path to Bitcoin and then to the Stacks ecosystem?
Yeah, so let's start with so Bitcoin. Back in about 2010, I was in London. A friend of mine was talking about some virtual currency. I thought it was like loyalty points. It was super weird. It's like, oh, Tesco's loyalty point. No, it's something else. I was like, okay. And they were really trying to sell it to me like, this is going to change the world. This is like the new financial infrastructure. And obviously, as you do, I don't understand this. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, no, I'll help you set it up on your computer and you do this and a miner. And I'm like, this is way too complicated. Like, I don't understand. Like, no, I'll give you some Bitcoin, like 100 Bitcoin. And then you can see how it works. And I was like, I don't. Well, honestly, I thought it was a scam, like trying to install some Trojan on my computer because we had those weird viruses going around. Yeah. So like, nah, we'll leave it. Thank you. Anyway, so later on, then obviously Bitcoin, like I think it was Silk Road happened. And then I was like, oh, this is super interesting. People are spending money. And I was like, oh, okay. Still left it because I thought it was a bit dodged the way the media was saying it. Fast forward to 2017, my brother got an offer from Ethereum to do some work. So he's got a medical company and he had an opportunity to get some Ethereum to help build out on, like basically build medical records onto the Ethereum blockchain. So we spoke about that and he turned that down as well, which is about 300 Ethereum. So yes. So obviously I was following and I thought, okay, I watched the price go up and down, really fluctuated, interested in it. The thing that really sparked me was as soon as I saw Top Shot, those NFTs from the NBA, I was like, hang on a minute, this is super big. Like then I understand everything snapped into place. I was like, wait a minute, so I can have a card of like whoever you want. So let's just say LeBron, because everyone understands it. I'm going, I could have a LeBron card and it never, like, I will have it forever. It will never break. It'll never tarnish. And it's liquid. I can sell it straight away. I thought, oh, this is super interesting. Which then Bitcoin's prices, COVID started coming around. And then I was like, oh, like Bitcoin price dropped. I was super interested. Anyway, long story short, I got on a space by a South African lady by the name of Melanie.
Yes.
We were talking about D-Grants. And I thought, oh, this is super interesting because I was helping other crypto companies, so Metaverse and that. And I thought, oh, this is super interesting, some grants. I had to listen to the grants, said layer 2 Bitcoin. I was like, this is interesting. And the rest is history. So basically I've invested in, obviously being involved in Bitcoin, understand how Bitcoin works. You spend your 50 hours of learning how it operates. We've had clear indications, obviously, from COVID, why it's important to have self-sovereign money. But that's my entry point to Bitcoin, was actually NFTs.
Amazing. Yeah. I actually also came to Bitcoin because of NFTs. I was like you, heard about it years and years ago. Same sort of story. And I mean, I asked that question a lot on my podcast. And so many of them have that same story. I heard about it in 2012, 2016, and then it was kind of that Ethereum. I think that really took it also mainstream, was that like CryptoPunks, CryptoKitties, I think it was.
Yeah.
And all of those. So, yeah. And then just in terms of your personal story, you've worked across quite a range of fields. I think government, education, we've spoken about before, finance, security. And I think when I listen to you speak, when anybody in the ecosystem listens to you speak as a strategist, you really can speak on a lot of topics. So do you think kind of, or how do you think those things have led you to the passion that you feel for this? And what is that deep passion? A lot of people will have different stories. They're going to come in and they're going to, develop an app that's going to change the world. Or, with me, it was come in and find something that's going to change things for artists. So all of those things could have combined together. How did that lead you, and where did that lead you? Because just like you were involved in real life in a cross section, it's the same in the Stacks ecosystem. A lot of people want to bring Haddy into their platforms or projects because of that strategic ability.
I think having the variety of worked in so many fields has it given me the ability to see multiple angles and how different ecosystems. So if you talk about different industries, that's the same as different ecosystems or different parts of an ecosystem. So being able to work across such a broad variety and work with so many has allowed me to see a lot more and understand a lot more. And I think talking about working across our ecosystem or ecosystems is more about, there are so many opportunity gaps that people miss. And this is, I always talk to opportunity gaps. So some of them are like in D grants, looking at what are the key opportunity gaps in the ecosystem. So you and I have had lots of discussions around media as a key opportunity gap, like building out media in our ecosystem and across all ecosystems. We need more media coverage and independent media and ways that people can earn without being closed off. So it's just looking for those verticals that are, like with Zero Authority is another one, like with Boom Wallets, another one. Lots of places I look at are key pieces that we need in the puzzle to make everyone wins if you have all of these key components. So it's really looking at what are the fundamentals we need in order for us to grow as an ecosystem so that everyone profits. So if we don't create that platform, nobody can build from it.
Yeah, it's an important to me. The reason I asked you was because I think a lot of people are looking from the outside in and going, okay, well, how do I get involved in Web3? Here's somebody like you who's worked in real life and a cross section, and you're bringing that in and applying it into an ecosystem like Stacks. So I think where I'm going with this is to talk to people like that who might be watching and going, okay, how do I get involved in the ecosystem? Because with Bitcoin, you can't just like phone someone up and say, okay, how do I get hired? And it's the same even in the Stacks ecosystem. So that's kind of where I was leading with this, is how do you
break into
talk about that. And the sort of maybe the community aspect, just about what is the how do you take all that experience and bring it in and then integrate yourself into an ecosystem?
So I'm probably really boring, but also strategic in certain ways. So something that's often not spoken about, but maybe you and I have it because of where we come from, is transferable skill sets. So a lot of people don't look at what I do in a certain industry as a transferable skill set. So everything you're learning outside, so for the sake of this, you have Web 2, which is everything we have today, and then Web 3 is this new blockchain decentralization aspect. Those skills you still need those skills in Web 3 and blockchain at the moment. So there's still services and professional services that still have to come around. Like Electra is another one, a prime example of somebody who's an accountant who's learned so much outside of it and is bringing all that expertise to look at how does legislation work? How do I do my taxes? And then obviously we have the new treasury company. So I think everything's a transferable skill set. The one thing you did touch on is community. The distinct difference is it's almost like moving country. When you move to a new country, you have to understand the landscape and you have to build those relationships and build network. You're starting from zero. And that's the hardest thing for most people when they've come from, I have a big LinkedIn following and I have all these real world contacts, and trying to transition across, it's very different. Yeah. You really have to understand who people are. You need to understand language is different, lingo is different, the words are different. It's really entering a completely new culture, a completely new country, and starting from zero.
I love the way you do that, actually. I've never thought about it like that. Like, it's actually like going into a whole new country, learning a whole new language, living, you know, and a sort of a collaborative country where everybody kind of like, and that you have to make your own, you know, you kind of have to bring your own ideas to the table and fight for your own ideas. You know, that's the interesting.
You got to find your tribe.
Yeah, and talking about that, sort of talking about how to integrate where, sort of, and bring your ideas forward. Let's talk about the Stacks D grants, because that is one way to join a community and get involved with an ecosystem, is with a funding program. So for those people who've never heard about Stacks D grants, I know a lot of people who are watching will, but let's kind of just give a brief intro to what it is and the importance of something like that in an ecosystem.
Yeah, well, Stacks has a D grants program. D grants meaning decentralized grants, and primarily what it is, it's community driven grants. So in other words, leaders are selected from the community, stewards, which you've been a steward twice, 3 times actually. three times you've been so you get selected as a steward, which is an honor in itself to be selected to be a steward, and then to help these projects who are finally successful select the projects, and then to help mentor them through the system. So we've had some like notoriety. We had some good projects. You were on your second project already through the D grants as well. Mm-hmm. So D grants is very much community driven. And it's unique to Stacks where they've got other grants programs, but this is really the grassroots. How do we build that base layer? How do we bring new people into the ecosystem? And how do we drive community growth? Because it's also heavily around community and keeping builders in the ecosystem. So,
yeah, and sort of so the process, very community driven. I mean, it's difficult for me to ask questions about it because, like you said, I've been deeply involved in it, but I also think it's important to talk about it and share with people what it is. So maybe just how to get involved briefly, what the process is, and then just a little bit of updates on how it works, the different tracks, and then kind of some, you know, what's happening within the tracks and the projects, because we're closing by the end of January, so we're pretty close to sort of coming to fruition with a lot of the projects.
Yeah, we're in the final 3 weeks, I think, of this cohort. So this is cohort 3. Cohort 4, the conversations are going to start towards the end of the month. And then the discussion will be about how that works. The endowment that's been created, so there's a whole long process. We have now endowment, and the endowment obviously has a different viewpoint of how it will operate. I still don't know how that's going to look, but I'm hoping that it's rolling. So at the moment, we've had a cohort that opens up. We have a funding bucket. So this round, we were super lucky. Like each round, we've doubled. We had 100,000 this time. Very small, but again, remember, this is community controls the funds. Community are dispersing the funds. Or selecting how they get dispersed. So we don't actually get to click the button. We don't actually have the money in our hands, but we manage the process and people get paid, or the grantees. So we had 100,000 this cohort. You started with 25. The second one, which I was a part of, was 50. So this is 100,000. We're hoping obviously for more and rolling. We have normally 5 tracks. I think this time we've got 5 tracks or 4 tracks. 5 tracks, DeFi and tooling. I've got social fi and community as the track that I'm running this time. Last time was DeFi and BNS was what I ran last time, which is the Bitcoin naming service. What else have we got? Oh, NFTs, creators, which is a lot better. Yeah, no, I mean, we had NFTs or something last time, but now we got creator track, which is way better naming because it makes it simple. It's everything to do with creative stuff, which is amazing, which is something that lacks in most ecosystems, that you actually have a community-driven grants program for people who want to build things. So there's some actually really cool projects in there. I've got some really cool projects as well. So
give me some examples and kind of like, yeah, give me some. I mean, we're not going to like, I don't feel bad if we don't talk about your project kind of thing. I don't want to sort of put you on a spot to talk about it.
No,
everybody. I'm just saying.
I can give you the highlights package. So I think creator side, we've got some really cool projects. The one I like is CineX, I think it is. That looks really interesting. I think there's a lot of opportunity in it, and I think there's some fringe cases that could capitalize in that area. So I think the overall framing of it is really good. So it's basically, you can put, correct me if I'm wrong, Melanie, you have video content that you can put out. Is that correct? And then that's licensed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting, Hattie, and it's why I think as somebody who comes from the African continent, why I really understood it and loved it. But it's based on the storkfell.
Yeah.
It's got a different name throughout, different countries in Africa, but in Southern Africa we call it that. And basically, it's kind of like it's a trust savings mechanism. So people get together, sort of. There's not really even written contracts.
That's StacksPot though.
No, but CineX is to raise funds for film.
Okay.
So he's a very interesting guy. He got involved in Nollywood and got involved with screenwriting, whatever, and sort of brought the two together. Like, how do we crowdfund for films? Because there's no money anymore in filmmaking. And I loved that. And I think another standout for me was, in my category, was Cryptonauts.
Yeah,
the game.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything yet, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm super focused.
I've been a little bit involved, obviously, because of, I loved it because it was one of the things I funded. But yeah, so what were in your you did Blue Sky, right?
No, I wanted to do Blue Sky, but I got Community and Social Fly. Right. Steve Peace Love got Blue Sky, but I love all my ones. So I've got Blocklift, really awesome project. Love what he's doing, like Neutron. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to bridge the divide in Africa. So obviously, again, you and I have Africa close to our hearts, trying to bridge that divide between this new financial rails and this new ecosystems that are being built, this new economic, like creator economy / everything else, trying to make sure that these students from Nigeria at the moment have an opportunity to understand what it's about, understand how they can get involved. So he does really basic Web3 training at the schools to give them an insight into what it is. And when you look at the schools, there are pictures on our GitHub because everything's open. So you can see he's put pictures on there, and you can see like the schools literally don't have windows. Like they have he has to bring a projector in his laptop with, and he projects it on like a wall. So it's literally, these students have nothing, and these are underserved. So not only is Nigeria has really posh schools or really like good schools, but they're also schools out, sort of regional schools that don't have as much access. He's going out there. But not only on top of that, he's also giving them backpacks because, again, like school supplies, they can't afford school supplies. So he's got backpacks for them. The future, I think there's notebooks coming, there's pens. So he's trying to give them a lot of other things. So it's trying to build opportunity for these underserved communities in the regional areas of Nigeria. And it's a blueprint for the whole of Africa. So he's starting there because he's based there, but it's really a blueprint.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's sort of really inspiring. And I think that goes back to what you were saying about a community thing. It's really chosen by a community, and it's hopefully kind of feeds back into community, So an amazing project, and very grateful as well that this show basically is running because of D grants. So yeah. Let's go. Okay, so what also is close to your heart and kind of an infrastructure that the D grants is using is Zero Authority.
Correct. Yes.
So something we're all passionate, I think, about in the ecosystem. Let's kind of, what is Zero Authority? What does it mean, and why is it important?
Why?
That's a long answer.
Yeah. So I think if we just start, if we start with the basis of Zero Authority started as a how can we have a truly trustless ecosystem or way for us to have economic output? So how can we build this trust amongst humans? So as we're all interacting, but that we still need a basis of which pseudo-anonymously, you can interact with somebody else trustlessly, but you still want some form of reputation. So ours was looking at, initially was, how do we build reputation on chain was the initial start. And what we've taken from building out from reputation on chain is the metrics of how you measure that, but then how do we allow people to actually earn in this new environment? So what's the next layer up? So in order to have reputation, everyone goes, yes, we need reputation, but it's not important when you think about it. Everyone just wants to make money and interact. So why is reputation important? So we needed to build the why. And what we've done is we built a marketplace for gigs. So in other words, you can now have jobs. That job builds back into your reputation, proof of work, which means over time, the longer you build this proof of work, the more opportunity you have. And people can say, I want to work with Melanie because Melanie has proof of work. She's done this, 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 and this. It's endorsed. We can also see payments, all immutable on chain. So the next step off that is then how do we shorten that, because there aren't as many jobs because we hit obviously the bear market. So there aren't as many gigs. Everyone's cutting costs. So how do we incentivize again? So we went into bounties. So we could see that people needed a channel in order to do small tasks, one-off tasks, which is shorter than a gig, or incentivizing people to go out and talk about something or to perform an action. So that was where bounties came from. And we keep expanding. Like now we just launched, or we are about to launch quests. So quests is going to be, well, let me go back to bounties. So bounties, I always viewed as being the interview. How do I interview somebody? I can create a bounty, which allows people to submit their work or submit things. We can then have an interview. You can cut down to your top 5 candidates, and they can get a gig after that. So that's where I would go with that. And then you have quests, and quests are basically, there's a whole load of things that it could do that I have in my head. So I don't want to go too much into it. I don't want to give too much away, but basically you have tasks that you can perform in a sequence to earn, say, a badge or a learning environment. You could use it in a learning environment. So perform these things. It could be an onboarding. So primarily I look at it as onboarding. How do I onboard somebody, a user, even an employee, into my ecosystem, into my business? I can build a quest that they sequentially do these tasks, which are basically bounties. And at the end of that, they get something in reputation, which then tells the ecosystem or the business, this person has completed or performed something, and they get access to something. That could be Bitflow, it could be Stacking DAO, it could be X Verse Wallet, it could be Melanie's podcast.
Yeah, I love it. And is there something like this? Like, is this something that exists like in other ecosystems? And is it something kind of, do you think this is where we're going? Like in terms of what employment is, what is employment going to look like? And is this like basically, and is it something that's happening across Web3? Is it kind of some sort of a future of where work is going to go? Is it a part of where work's going to go?
I think if I put my zero authority hats on now and I talk about the future of work, the future of work is we can't imagine what the future of work is going to look like.
Yeah.
What we can look at, and what we have done, is we try to answer those questions, the future questions. So one of them is, how would a fully autonomous business, so a DAO, so a decentralized autonomous organization, or a 100% remote organization, how would they operate? What are this tooling that they would require? How would a blockchain foundation need to operate, and or an endowment? What are the tools and mechanisms they require, and to get other people or users, and how do you build community around that? So we've tried, reputation forms the backbone of everything. So in order for us to trust each other, we need reputation. You and I have spoken face to face. We've worked on various projects. Therefore, you and I have rapport. But how do we have rapport when there is no rapport? How do I build that? How do people get jobs in this new ecosystem? So we've tried to answer those questions. One of the biggest things I think we're answering with what we're building is, we know we're transitioning to agents. The question is, am I dealing with Melanie's authorized agent? Or am I dealing with, for lack of a better word, Timo version of Melanie's agent? Yeah. How do I verify that? So that's what these are the types of things we're going to have. You're going to be a one-person business. you're going to have agents underneath you doing either tasks for you or being sent out to do work. So we're building the infrastructure to allow that. So we have our own bot, Nova, which we've launched, which answers simple questions. And coming back to the grants aspect, why this is on, the grants are now on Zero Authority, is because we've built a platform that allows, will be that people can come in and have a look at what grants there are. They can submit their proposal. They can go through the entire process, and it has transparency. The point is about transparency. We really want to make, and the foundation, the endowment are all about this. Rena has been on various podcasts. It's about transparency. How can we make it, the process, as transparent as possible, and also make it as accessible to everyone as possible? And Zero Authority was selected because we have all the building blocks. So we're building towards governance as a service and governance on chain. So how do we bring governance on chain, and how do you make it accessible to everyone?
Yeah, I kind of want to, I mean, obviously we're going to talk a little bit about governance just now, but I think I just want to stick a little bit with, you spoke about AI and dealing with my agents, and, it's a question and it's a conversation I'm very interested in at the moment now, because that is the big question, not even dealing with, because yes, we may know each other, and yes, we may have an element of trust. And so you're going to go, okay, look, I'm dealing with her, or I'm dealing with, some of her agents or whatever it is. But I suppose what's also important is, how do I know that that's even a real person? Or is that even important?
This is why reputation. This is why reputation is the backbone of everything.
Yes.
So people want to be pseudo-anonymous. So we've seen the rise of, which again, Stacks, who is part of the core team, he saw it long ago, and so did Zero, that we want privacy. People are moving more and more towards privacy. As this world comes, and especially with AI, people want pseudo-anonymity. So they want to be anonymous as far as possible, but still be able to interact. So we're trying to build that element of it. But to your point with AI is, we need to know who we can trust, whether it's AI or human. We also need, it's not about being proof of human, but to a certain degree, your reputation will allow you to show proof of humanhood. So if people want humanhood, you'll be able to have proof of humanhood. And it'll also allow people to then attach these AI agents, which they can rent out to other people. So Melanie Carstens has a certain intellect across these facets of these industries. I can rent Melanie for music. I can rent Melanie for whatever else, your agent part of it. So we're looking at the marketplaces for intellect, and how can we create a trusted environment for that? That's only one really small aspect of the base layer we're building that you can build on top of.
Yeah, that's interesting, Hadi. Now, I'm going to get sidetracked now, but so what? Okay, so how do I then put my intellectual property into an agent, or how do I transfer it so that people can hire? Because I remember back in the day, I used to say, when I was Good Kitty, and I used to say to all my friends, you laugh at me, one day Good Kitty's going to be working while I'm sleeping. And that was years ago. And now I'm kind of looking around and thinking, okay, this might actually be real. So how does that work? You know how we obviously talk to our ChatGPT, and it slowly starts learning, sort of, it's feeding back to you. It's a mirror of who you are in terms of how it feeds back to you. Are you going to be able to, how do you get your knowledge into something, so that, is it just because it knows you so well and you?
So from Zero Authority's perspective, in order for us to build an agent for you, which is not off the cards for us, but from an infrastructure and a cost factor, it'd be really expensive to be able to build individual bots for people, like build your agent. So
somehow you will be able to.
Could we do it? Yes. The conversations so my personal opinion is, bring your own bot. So bring your own beer, bring your own bot. Yeah. So for me, we want to build infrastructure that allows people to have reputation, build reputation, have opportunity, and then have other people be able to plug into that central data and use it to help them, and plug into us to feed data so we can have a circular economy of building reputation. But bring your own bot. So you have a bot, you're using chatbot GPT, others using Claude. You already have your agent built up. You just plug that into us. So if you've got an agent that does work, then that plugs into us. It sits on our infrastructure. So we don't have to build it. We're just building a place for you to put your bot to earn for you, and that to earn reputation. So we have gig marketplaces. It could also be that over time, there'll be multiple gig marketplaces. They all plug into our utopias. They all plug into Zero Authority. So we've just built a gig marketplace because nobody else built it. That's the reason why we built it. Our primary goal is around reputation and making sure that we can build that reputation and to be that protocol level on any ecosystem will be the protocol level of reputation. So we built these out of necessity to show people what reputation can look like and be valuable.
Yeah. Made me think of something again, because that's it. I sort of have been talking a lot about proof of personhood, but actually, people might just want to hire an agent, so you might want proof of agency or whatever, not agency, but, proof of agent or whatever.
Well, with X402, it's...
Well, that's what's going to, sorry to interrupt you, but that's what's going to happen. You're going to be able to hire someone's agent. So if I've got intellectual property that I've trained up something really smart.
Yep, that's the gold mine is the knowledge now. So as we look at so if you want to take AI as a separate aspect, so there's something I was watching the other day which is super interesting to me. So Lionsgate tried to take all the intellectual property that they had and all the movie, and I think they've got between 20 and 50,000 hours of movies in their catalog. That was not enough for them to train an AI to create new movies. 50,000 hours of video footage was not enough to create one video, like feature-length movie.
Yeah.
So when we talk about intellect, AI, it needs so much data. It scraped everything from the internet. It's going to scrape this video that we're on now, take all this feedback, think about it, put it into its... So your intellect is going to become more and more valuable. And once you've trained it on your proprietary intellect, that's incredibly valuable in the marketplace. So AI agents are going to be huge. We don't want to solve... We would love to be able to build a way for people to do that, but the amount of investment we'd require to build that is not our primary objective as Zero Authority right now. Yeah. It's better that somebody else built that and plugged into us because we know reputation, we understand that, and that's what we've been building. So everyone can see how this is slowly evolving and how quickly we can see we're building tools to help people plug into reputation. That's all we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, but exactly. You say that now, but I mean, Zero and I were chatting the other day about like back in the day with Zero Authority, and he said to me, it used to be a piñata. And I had such a laugh because I remember I went on there in true Mel style, and I was like, where do I provide my feedback? He must have just thought, who the F-bomb are you? Because I was like sending a long thing about because I loved it as well from the beginning. But you know, what's interesting is he was saying like back then, he would just never have been able to imagine the sort of speed of development. You know, what would have taken months is now done in a few days. So, you know, you'll probably find in another year, you'll be churning out bots for people. You know?
I think we have the early signs of it and we played with it and we dabbled with it. It's tremendous amount. So Gisler, who's joined us, he's done obviously NovaBot and he looks after that. Incredible work that he's done. He's just released a new version of it. It's awesome. We have a few problems with X's API, but that's because people have been using it incorrectly and putting slop, as they call it, AI slop into X and false engagement. So, but anyway, we are dabbling in it to understand. And as you said, in a year's time, it might be perfectly plausible that we have what we need to be able to offer it to people. You come on, train your own bot or bring your own data, put it in the bot, and then you have an opportunity to earn more money. So to create stuff. I think we're in the experimental stage. Like you and I were talking earlier about ordinals on Bitcoin. We're in that experimental stage. How can we experiment? Where can we pull and push levers? And what adds the most value?
Yeah. And how to use this new tool. I mean, that to me is the most fascinating thing. It's not just a new version of Google. It's very empowering, and so amazing for where it's going to take us and how it's just going to change the world. And I know that sounds silly, but it's a fascinating time to be alive.
Well, it depends which angle you want to take. You want to take utopic or
I'm going to go with leaning into it cautiously but curiously.
Yeah, it's a good way to go. It's going to fundamentally change society.
I made that up as I said it, but I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fundamentally going to change us, and it already has. Yeah. So, I think it's going to make us. It's going to force us to face the realities of humanhood, and for us to decide what it means to be human.
Yeah, and to pass the baton on for no longer the smartest on the planet.
I think
I read somewhere recently that somebody said this is the last thing that man is going to invent as man alone. Like this was our last invention. And everything else now we're going to do, we can't not. It was like before AI, everything we invented used the internet, because even if you just emailed you couldn't invent something without Googling it, or that's what you did, even if it was just to see if somebody else has done it before or whatever. So I don't know. I think this is it's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. I think the true question is, can AI truly can it fill the void between 0 and 1? That's the question. So at the moment, we talk about AI, a prompt starts and it ends at some point, or just loops. So the question is, can it go from 0 to 1? And if it can go from 0 to 1, then potentially it can compete with us. When we talk about intellect, yes, it has vast amounts of information it can process quicker than us, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's more intelligent than us. Compute power doesn't transpose to intelligence.
Yeah.
But we need to define what intelligence is.
Yeah, I was just going to say, are we intelligent? That's like,
we have to define it. When we truly define what intelligence is, because where I read there's 9 different types of intelligence. So is it going to compete across all remits of intelligence? Perhaps not.
Yeah.
And if it really gets to sentient status, is it really interested in what we want anymore? Not in a bad way. I meant like somebody said, it's like talking to ants. Like we don't talk to ants.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure ants don't want to talk to us. Yeah.
I don't think they're interested in us, to be honest. We're too.
Except they might just like, don't stand on me, please, or squash me.
Sorry, yes, I went too far on that.
No, I love it. The whole point is to have real conversations here. And I think those are important things. If we're thinking it and curious about it, then at least one other person is. So.
We need to question ourselves, Melanie. The point is not to buy into this. Everyone's saying the same thing. You'll be better off if you know how to use AI, because that's the future. So would you? Because if everyone's using AI, then it's the same as everyone doing the same Google search and getting the same results. So where does ingenuity come from? Where does all the information's the same, and then we're back in COVID time where we just get one narrative because it's giving us one narrative. So if we take AI, the way I view AIs at the moment is very much that they are the same as, this is Fox News, this is CNN, they all have their own flavor and their own narrative. And as long as you're unbiased across it and you understand the world and you don't take it as gospel, then you're fine.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have lots of breakthroughs, but I just think we shouldn't write ourselves off. I think we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I still think that, I mean, because there's a reason it's called artificial intelligence, right? Because it is manufactured, and it's manufactured from our brains. But I think when you throw that much stuff into a pot, that much information, it's going to, because I was also reading at one point somebody saying like AI might get dumber in many ways because of, and even I look at the way I speak to it now, I've gotten so used to just typing garble. I don't even have to like go back and check. It's just like I type and half the words don't even look like real words because I'm doing it so fast. But it makes sense of it. I sometimes think, is it going to start feeding me back my gobbledygook?
Anyway. No, I think AI is amazing, and I think it'll help us and it'll push us forward, and it's another level of productivity. I just think that we underestimate ourselves, and we buy into the same as the internet was going to take away all jobs. That would be the end. Yeah. All retail would disappear. It would all be online. But we can see that clearly we're still the consumer. So as long as we're consuming, we need to be able to, and AI needs to consume. So AI is going to get dumber because there's not enough data. It plateaus at a point unless it's getting fresh data to understand what's happening in the world. Yeah. It's just one big database of, and then T9 text, like predictive text coming out. So we view it as intelligence, and yes, it is to a certain degree, but it's just not the amount of energy AI uses versus how much we use from our gray matter, vastly different. We're like 100 kilowatts is what I heard. And think about how much like one prompt takes of like information and energy. Yeah. So I think quantum is where the juice is, to be honest. I think that's where we're going to solve a lot more problems. And personally, I think we can't comprehend quantum. And I think quantum is, in order for us to do what we want to do, I think AI is the interface for quantum for us. That's the middleware to quantum. But I could be wrong.
Hey, look, the thing is nobody can predict this. All we can say is that nobody can stop evolution. So you can't fight it. You've got to lean into it, and you've got to say, well, it's here. We can't make it go away. And from the minute, because a lot of people also, say it's all negative, but exactly what you were saying earlier is that where there's good, there's always going to be bad. And that's going to moot itself out because there might be bad agents, but not every single agent in the world is going to be bad or intelligence. It's going to be good and bad, and they're going to be going for it. And with tools, because it is just another evolutionary tool. And we've been creating tools since we picked up the first rock. And you could either take a rock and, turn it into a tool that you can then make your food, or you could throw it at somebody, and kill them. Yeah. So, that's what humans do. We make tools, and then some of us use it for good and some of us use it for harm. So
yeah. Well, a simple one, which is super interesting, follow on from that, which people I found really intriguing, is I said, it's the same as electricity. You can kill somebody with electricity, or you can light an entire village with it. Like, there's good and bad, or powers that are medical equipment, or powers your computer. Like, there's good and bad to both sides of it. It's just
exactly,
and there will always be.
But welcome to humankind. I think I would trust humans less. Because, I mean, people can be very horrible. But anyway, let's not go down that road. You mentioned just now governance and Zero Authority's relationship with the Stacks, or the foundation, and with governance and the Stacks improvement proposal. So let's just talk a little bit about that and what's happening with because obviously the last kind of time I was really, and I think a lot of people were listening to whatever was going on about the SIP was with SIP 31 and what led to the endowment. So kind of, let's talk about that. Like what is it, and how do people get involved, and how important it is to get involved? Because I remember back in the day, 3 years ago, Hero reached out to me, shout out to Hero Gamer. And he was like, how do we made this like silly competition on like people to do something like fun about SIP. Do you remember? I think you were involved there as well. And like how to get people involved, because it can be considered quite a boring thing, Yeah,
I think, so SIP, for anyone who doesn't know, is the Stacks Improvement proposal. So when you put something into, you propose something to change on the network. It's almost the same as like if you had government, you'd put in a proposal to change a law. So, and then we go through like the different avenues of law. It's the same with a blockchain. You have a process by which you can change the rules that govern the chain. So Bitcoin has it, which are BIPs, so Bitcoin Improvement Proposals. Ethereum has it, which is IP, so that's the EIPs. Exactly the same. So every chain has it, and it's a way to change the rules by which the chain is governed. So for ours, which SIP31 you were talking about, was changing the way, increasing the supply of the tokens, which are paid out for every new block, and obviously a portion of that going to the endowment to fund it for the next 5 years. And then obviously a lump sum, which came out of the entities that were created when they first decentralized. So, but yeah, governance is super important from a fact of if you view a blockchain as a country, there's a government or a set of rules that it's governed by, and governance is really important in how you vote on that. So you have that same stacks and everywhere else. You're basically voting with your stacks. You don't give over anything. You just have a certain number of votes, and that dictates whether it passes or it doesn't. I think you have to do, I'm always going to get it wrong, and Hero Gamer's going to slap my wrist later. So I think it's like 80,000 you need stacks, which is the currency on the stacks, so STX, for it to pass. And then you need a certain percentage of those to be yes. So you need the minimum threshold. But anyway, that's the boring stuff. That's why it's so boring. But it's really important. So we have some super exciting stuff. So like we've got the new one, which is for bringing the X402. So people who understand what that is, it's allowing micro payments to go through, and especially AI agents to accept and pay money. So that's super cool. We got that coming to Stacks. We got Stacks Pay.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm interested in that. I spoke to Toonie a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
And that's such a huge step forward. The 402.
Yeah, it's
an important step.
It's a building block. So it's a building block to opening ourselves up. So there are a lot of layer 2s on Bitcoin. So layer 2 meaning you have Bitcoin as the mother layer, and then layer 2s are ones that run on top of it. So Ethereum has a lot of layer 2s, Arbitron, Optimism. Polygon was the first one. So I think it's Matic now.
Yeah.
It's a new token anyway. So Stacks is a layer 2, but it anchors to Bitcoin. So that's what makes it unique to everything else. It's proof. So we have that proof, which is completely different. So all of the transactions are actually anchored. So put into a Bitcoin, and you can't change them. So as Bitcoin is immutable, so is Stacks immutable. So we have this and by having that, it actually opens up doors for AI. So going back to the AI has been able to pay each other and move. This is a really cool feature that allows them to accept payments over the web. And that Stacks is obviously the best place to put it on because you've got faster blocks now. So it's a building block to that and a whole host of other things. So I think we're only imagining like 402 as being like, oh, this is cool. But it could be micropayments on anything.
Yeah.
So it could be, hey, I want to pay somebody for something, or it could be a gateway. So like Tripper Monkey was building a little bit of it. Could be a gateway. So, a toll booth. There could be lots of ways of using it. I think we just haven't imagined all of them yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we've got loads. We've got Stacks Pay, which is what Dan has been working on for a while. V2's coming out. So that'll be out soon. I mean,
amazing stuff going on.
We also got Bitcoin addresses.
What, the BNS?
No. So Larry's put forward that we will.
Oh yes.
We'll use Bitcoin addresses only. So anything running on Stacks, you just use a Bitcoin address, and it'll auto detect like what asset and which layer it's on, and push it for you automatically. So once the wallet's adopted, it means my Bitcoin address and my BNS just become my address everywhere. So eventually you'll be able to put it across all other chains as well.
And that basically means we using Stacks in the background. And that is just happening without us even kind of doing any swaps or anything. That's just running in the background for your. Is that how it works?
Yes,
And
if
that's
I send
your,
SBTC, for instance, so bridged Bitcoin to the Stacks layer, it'll know where to send it, which wallet to send it to. So it'll be Stacks layer. If I send you native Bitcoin, then it'll know to put it in your Bitcoin wallet or with a Bitcoin address. So we'll move completely, which will help people to Bitcoin people to move across to layer 2 because it'll be seamless. The only problem we have maybe is a little bit in the bridging side of it. We just need to, there's a few things we need to sort out, but most of it works pretty well. And then when we get to smart wallets, of course, if you go into smart wallets, that's why X402 is important. That's why this Bitcoin address will be important as well. And then also the Bitcoin address will mean that it'll open up every single layer 2. So then wallets can run every layer 2, and I just use my Bitcoin address and it'll auto determine, oh, this is going to Rootstock, this is going to Stacks, this is going to Bob, this is going, so we won't have that issue anymore on Bitcoiners coming across to layer 2.
Really? So kind of an interoperability between
that's how I view
all L2s. Okay.
Yes, so that's the opportunity for wallets, and that's what I'm really trying to push at the moment. Is this is the opportunity gain for wallets? I have already have a Bitcoin address. I don't have to worry anymore because the wallet will know where it goes. So then I can earn from any layer 2, and then we can obviously bridge out again and say, okay, now we've got all Ethereum, so all EVMs are now in your wallet, and then you can move out to Sui and Say and wherever else you want to move out to. But originally, my actual idea is to say, can we bring all layer 2s into one playing field? Because that's the opportunity gain. Like, again, looking at opportunity, that's the opportunity for a wallet.
Yeah.
Imagine receiving, like, you get Lightning, you can get like Mother Chain, you can get Stacks, you can get Rootstock. It's irrelevant.
Yeah. And I suppose you're going to need that. And it's also not going to be, it's going to be necessary if someone else once said to me recently as well, I think it might have been Tooney, maybe, was how the agents you're going to go out, say now I want to buy a new phone. Then I would put out and I'd say to my agent, I want to buy a new Apple iPhone, it will go out and in one sort of prompt, it's going to speak to all the suppliers of Apple phones, and all those agents are almost going to be bidding for that agent to buy the product. So that's why these become so important as well, because you need to say, okay, I'm going to spend $1,000 on my phone. No more. Go and get me one for $1,000. Right? And it's just the agent's going to do all that. That's why you need your agents to be able to spend. Is that what are spending agents going to be doing? Are they just going to be buying your Twitter subscription? There's
multiple ways you can use it. So I think there's another part that hasn't been done yet, which is there's another EP, like on Ethereum, they've got another one which allows you to authorize payments. So almost like we have direct debits, you'll be able to have direct debits on your account. So you'll sign once and it'll basically just deduct every month. So you have those as well. There's slight security things. With agents, I think the sky's the limit. Whatever we choose, we'd have to build, and that's why smart wallets become really interesting over time. There's another one which Sui's building, which is super interesting, that Resh and Dan spoke about from Boom Wallet. There was a tweet about it this week. Was about the object-centric model. I think I got it the right order. So it's not an NFT. So if we take Skullcoin, for instance, like with Zenny, so I have my game card. The game card doesn't live in my wallet. The game card lives on chain, but it's connected to my wallet that I have ownership. Therefore, I don't need to consistently authorize anything for add-ons or for it to change. I only have to do it when I sell it. So it starts changing the way in which we interact, and items become objects on chain rather than an NFT in our wallet where it's static, which is really interesting. I haven't explored it fully, so I'm just speaking from a very broad.
Yeah.
So there's lots of ways to change, which then means that where you're talking about buying and selling things, there's also opportunities for having objects that you purchase, which then can be attributed to a physical asset. There's ways that you can authorize payments. So if you say, agent, go out and find me this, you've already pre-approved $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, for instance sake, or USDC. So it's already pre-approved by you and it's going out. When it finds the deal that matches your requirements, it may not even come back to you and say yes. It'll just
it can't. Because if you imagine, well, if you think about how lightning fast, that's why I said it's going to be in a second. It'll put it out. In that second, it takes it to message you and say, I found one for $9.99. It's the deal of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you miss that ping. You're like, oh, well, now in the next 4 hours, it's going to be 1099, So you're going to have to give it money.
Well, that's the thing. You will deposit it into its wallet. So it's smart wallet. You'll deposit the money into its smart wallet and it'll have access to that funding. And then obviously you may have a expiry date or something where it returns it if it doesn't find an offer for you, or it sits and just waits. But the idea is really cool. I hadn't thought about autonomous like RFP. That'd be a really cool marketplace.
What does RFP stand for?
Request for proposal. So you'd say, I want an iPhone. You put a request for proposal. Everyone's going to fire back quotes at you, and you're just going to choose which one's the best. So the agent has a predefined parameter. It's going to go out, look for the proposals. This is what I'm looking for, marketplace. Everyone gives a proposal. This is the one that I think is best for based on the parameters, and it just buys and executes the order.
Yeah. Because it's already doing that. I mean, if you say to it, I'll say like, I want this, and it pops up, gives me some options from a couple of local online stores. But he was also saying, again, I think it was Tuni, it was such an interesting conversation, but he was making me laugh because we were saying one day, basically, you'll have your agent and somebody will want to hire somebody, and your CV agent is going to be talking to somebody's HR agent. Mm-hmm. And basically you're going to be like, listen, dun, 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 you're hired. I mean, it's going to be making those decisions, I guess. Fascinating time to be alive.
I think if you want to go back to the future of work, this is something I thought about often, is just what you said now, is that's why proof of work and the reputation. So Zero Authority is not just building reputation, we're building proof of work, which builds into your digital online CV, which means now you're no longer necessarily tied to one employer, because we're probably going to move to a gig economy over time. So if you look at the way AI is moving, we're probably going to be moved to a gig economy. So you're going to do lots of different jobs, which means because everything is there to be checked, people who need work done are going to come to us first to look for who fits the role, which will then the AI agent will also be able to look at all the jobs you've done already, which will then be able to say you're the best fit. So again, it's like this putting it out. I need this done. It goes out to the marketplace. Zero Authority will become that marketplace or the list where they'll just come and go, oh, okay, we have 5 candidates. Maybe you need an interview. Maybe you don't need an interview. Maybe it just sends you proposals straight away. Hey, please quote on this. You give your pricing. And then they go, yes, I want this one.
Yeah.
So it could be completely, or that's with your agent.
Yeah. I know. It's going to be like, people, I'm just going to be lying on the beach all day and I'm going to be working my my good old South African word. I'll be working myself crazy.
Working your rear end off, yes.
Yes. That's a good old bit of, come on, Khan. I haven't said that in ages. Remember? Always on the show. Anyway. All right, I know you had a hard stop 10 minutes ago, so let's kind of wind it down. Let's just look at I've been asking people this every now and then, we've sort of spoken about what's going on, what you're building, but just kind of stacks in 2026. What are you looking forward to? What are your kind of like, what is the breeze in your sales when it comes to stacks 2026? What are we looking out for and what are we excited about? You mentioned cohort 4 of the Stacks D grants. You mentioned a couple of SIPs.
Stacks, let's see. So on the Stacks forum, so I think it's like forum.stacks.co, I think it is. So Arena put out a really cool article at the end of last year, which kind of outlines the roadmap. I'm really excited about the roadmap. There's still a few things in there that I would require more clarity on, but I think we have a good step forward. I think there's a lot of investment coming into the ecosystem. I'm really excited about all the builders, and I want to see those deliver this year. Stacks, obviously, cohort 4, I'm really looking forward to, because I think we have a unique blend of the way we do it, which allows us to find gems. And I think let's say, strategically as an ecosystem, we need to move away from vanity metrics, and we really need to start looking at the ecosystem of how we actually build a solid foundation for growth for everyone. I think we have the community, and I think we need to grow the community, but not lose the essence of what we have. So I think we have a very bright future. I think it's all dependent on the way the US goes this year. So I think everything's dependent on financial. What I am super excited about this year, which I hope is going to happen, is that more emphasis happens in Africa as a whole. And I think that's really the growth area. The other side of it, I think, is that we, as an ecosystem, there are a few fundamental building blocks that are missing. And we need to plug those holes and start building in those opportunity gaps in order for us to fully grow, if we're looking at just stacks, to fully grow and to bring Bitcoin to the masses. Because I think stacks can help bring it to the masses, because it needs to be cheap, essentially, for it to work in Africa. And I think Africa is one of the few places on the planet where it's going to make the biggest impact, because currencies are dropping. I mean, the rand has been up and down all year, if we talk just about South Africa. So you can hold, Bitcoin is a store of value, and stacks allows you to have a store of value, and it's a lot easier than Lightning. So Lightning being our biggest competitor. So I think if we can build payment rails through Africa, I think that's the opportunity gap. And that's
why is that easier than Lightning?
Lightning requires, so first thing is, Lightning is super easy to set up if you have a custodial wallet. Custodial meaning somebody else holds your funds. If it's non-custodial, it's slightly more complicated, opening channels, funding the channels. So it can be a little bit more complex in setting it up. The difference with it is obviously it's non-custodian when your money goes in, if you do it yourself, and you can bring it out, but you can run into technical difficulties. It's not as easy. Stacks is literally download. We have like 3 wallets. So let's say Leather and Xverse being the largest at the moment. Boom Wallet is on its way, which will be the next competitor, which is it's not even a wallet. It's something vastly different to a wallet. But it will do the wallet functions as well. So you just download the wallet. You can obviously buy it on a central exchange or in app by stacks, and that's it. You own it. If you stack your stacks, it stays in your wallet, it's just locked, and you're earning yield off it. So it's a lot easier from that perspective. Like the startup is easier. And then if you have SBTC, then it's even easier. You're moving your Bitcoin. So you can have Bitcoin moving exactly the same way as it is moving on Lightning. So different products. I'm not saying it's better or worse. It's just different. And I find stacks easier. So that's what brought me to stacks. Lightning for me, was really complicated. Non-custodian, meaning you control all your keys and your money.
Look, I tried to set up LB the other day, and I was just like, no. I stopped. But look, I still think it's an interesting conversation, and one I'm interested in having more of is sort of understanding why, because it feels to me like sort of Bitcoiners seem to accept Lightning more than they would accept, or the idea of Lightning more than they accept the idea of stacks.
Yeah, so the way it is that it's Bitcoin in its truest form for them. So, and there's no stopping it coming in and out. So for stacks, there are 15 entities that are controlling that bridge to bring it in and out. So it obviously sits in a wallet on one side, and then you create it on the other side. You mint SBTC. So there's still a slight concern around decentralization and that it could be halted. I think the more, as we build out as stacks and we have more people being able to come in there and be those validators, that's when the secret sauce is going to be revealed. And I think it's just a slow burn. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. And Lightning is there, and Lightning's built the tools, it's built the communication layer, it's got other tooling, and Bitcoiners have been used to harder ways of doing things. So when we look at it, we go, we want simple. So what Stacks has built will be easier for the masses, but Bitcoiners are happy to do the Lightning part of it, is the way I look at it. Yeah. And they have more trust in it because it's gone for so long.
Yeah, and I guess you can also do more, with Stacks is because you can, start opening up different economies specifically around art and all those sort of things that you can't really just do with Lightning, which is much simpler.
Yeah, well, Lightning is built for a different use case. So I think that's the hardest thing is people want to compare, but it's built for a different use case. That's the primarily. So Stacks is built with its own language. It's built completely differently.
Yeah.
So we built for different things. So we wanted to be the programmable language on top of Bitcoin to give it more possibility, more opportunity to grow, but still have that security of the base layer.
Yeah, and what a good note to end it on,
Yep.
But yeah, Hattie, I know you kind of don't mind going a little bit over, but sip calls.
Yeah.
But just thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here and chatting to you. Yes, we go back a good couple of years. So love to catch up with you. And just any sort of closing thoughts or comments before we head out onto this lovely weekend? It's Friday, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is Friday today. Luckily, we already had the Friday ghost in the beginning, didn't we? So
exactly.
The guest that was not.
I'll stop drinking tequila before I start the show.
I think thank you very much for having me today and having me on your show. I always enjoy having conversations with you. We always go off into different places, so hopefully I wasn't too boring. There's a lot of exciting stuff. I think not only what you're building, because you're building your own media empire, which is amazing, and I congratulate you and hats off to you for doing it, because we did have lots of conversations before that.
Fingers crossed.
I'm glad you pulled the trigger on this.
Yeah.
As I said, we're in 2026. It's going to be a big year for all of us. I think it's not just about Stacks. It's really about community. It's about the people. And it's the people who make it worthwhile to be in this space, not just Stacks or Bitcoin. So I think all of us together, and I think that's the opportunity and the invitation to anyone who's interested or crypto curious, Bitcoin curious, just join an X space, follow us on X, have a look at what we're doing, reach out if you have any questions. I'm not an expert. I try to help. But the opportunities are immense. That's all I can say is this is, for me, it's the reimagining of the internet. You have this completely blank slate and we can start again. You can build applications. You can reimagine industries. So I think that's the message I would like to leave with everyone.
Yeah, amazing.
Opportunity.
What a great message that is. So thank you. Yeah, head over to Hattie on X. Is that right?
Brendyn Hadfield. Yeah, at Brendyn Hadfield.
Oh, isn't it Hattie?
No. It's Hattie.btc is just the name. But my handle is Brendyn.
That is something else.
It's all right. It's no worries. So yes, if you go to X, my handle is obviously Brendyn Hadfield. So at Brendyn Hadfield, I've got my links all there as well in my bio. If you want to contact or reach out to me, and Melanie's links are also all in her bio, if I remember correctly. You got a link tree there.
I do indeed. All right, guys. So thanks very much for tuning in on this Friday episode of Stacks Pulse. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Hattie, and thank you everybody for tuning in. It is independent Bitcoin media, so if you like it, please support, like, share, subscribe. Head over to the link in my bio. There are other ways to support me, and I would appreciate it. So yeah, happy Friday. Have a great weekend, and I'll be back here on Monday talking to Truth Chain. Looking forward to that as well. So yeah, take care and have a great weekend. Cheers, Hattie.
Cheers. Thanks, Mel. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.